Hello everybody. I thought I would do a quick look at Canada's chart because it's rather inspiring what is happening with that huge trucker protest. I remember when the Aussie truckers were hoping to get that together, but it never really came together. They might have been infiltrated. Just think at what it takes to get an operation of that size organized without anyone scuppering it in some way, infiltrating it, undermining it. It's really been an enormous success. Apparently it's 100 kilometers long, hundreds of thousands of truckers involved. It's gone right around the country, and what's also been fantastic to see is on the roadside in those freezing cold temperatures, sometimes minus 20, people standing there supporting, clapping, cheering. It just shows that there's been the spirit surging in Canada. And Canada's been kind of behind, under the cosh really, like Australia and New Zealand, and it's been a bit behind the curve. Apart from Chris Sky, or call the noisy Canadian, who is a Leo, no surprise, apart from him speaking up, and of course the pastor, the Polish pastor as well, who threw those people, it was rather inspiring. If you remember that clip where those, he called them Gestapo, came to try and close his church down, and he was like, out, immediately out, no Gestapo in this church. So he was really good. I've forgotten his name, but Rebel News in Canada have been doing a lot as well, so I suppose there have been plenty of people. But you would have seen the video the other day of Klaus Schwab saying that Justin Trudeau was one of his young world leaders, and so of course was Jacinda Ardern. And isn't it strange that those two are leading the way in terms of the COVID tyranny? We note that he also mentions Vladimir Putin and Angela Merkel being previous young world leaders when they were young, which is obviously eons ago. But yeah, Justin Trudeau, and then he kind of boasts that they've got control. In other words, there are numerous members of the Canadian cabinet who see eye to eye with World Economic Forum goals. And it's like in the open, he's almost telling you, I'm subverting democracy. My man, Justin Trudeau, is in there. He's controlling things. He's carrying out our agenda. His whole cabinet is on board with it. Disgusting. And I believe, in Canada, only 38% of people actually voted for him. And they have this weighted system where, for example, cities like Toronto have a stronger weighting. So therefore, the inner cities, but the cities generally tend to vote for these characters. But overall, he got a very low vote share. He doesn't even have a mandate. There was no real enthusiasm for him. It's just probably, I'm not sure if I'm correct here, it must be a kind of first past the post issue like we have in the UK, where it's easy for these people to get in power. So in light of being very inspired by the truckers descending on Ottawa, and I hear now on Getter, by the way guys, I am on Getter, it's at Lisa Lazuli, I'm posting lots of interesting stuff. I urge you all to go over and give Getter a try. It works really smoothly. There's no faff in signing up like with Telegram and all that. I find it very easy to get started and to quickly start, I don't know, tweeting, but anyway, start posting, right? And yeah, I advise you to go there. They're doing an enormous amount publicizing the truckers in Canada. There are now trucker movements starting in France, Italy, the Czech Republic, I think one of the Scandi countries. It's boosting up in Australia. So not only have they done really well in Canada, I think they've done a lot to invigorate this movement worldwide. So here, what I've got here is Canada's chart. I've got the transit on the outer wheel. So we're going to be looking at those. I just find it interesting to note that so many of the G7 countries have this cardinal configuration. So Canada, like America, like France, is Cancer. It has a Libra rising, like the United Kingdom, and France has Aries rising, so it's another cardinal setup. Because like the UK is double cardinal, it's like a Capricorn with Libra rising. This is Cancer, Libra rising. Obviously America is Cancer, but they've got the Sag rising. You also find that Germany as well has also got a little cardinal setup going on. So it's quite common for these countries, for these like G7 countries, some of these really prominent countries, to have this cardinal setup. So I'm immediately interested by the fact that transiting Pluto has been opposite the Sun in Cancer, and it's also here on the descendant. Now, being transiting opposite the Sun, which has got this prominent position on the midheaven, I feel that this could mean shaky, wobbly, the chance of toppling the leader. It certainly is an indication in that direction, right? And because it's here, Pluto on the descendant, well, in Capricorn, right, that means a kind of groundswell, power to the opposition, which is great as well. It shows the strength of the movement, possibilities for a grassroots movement. It almost shows like there's going to be an earthquake, there's something rumbling underneath. Next thing that's important, if you note here, we've got Saturn in Scorpio is opposite Pluto in Taurus, and Pluto is also in the 8th house, the house of quite radical upheaval, transformation, also transformation in the monetary realm, and Saturn is in the 2nd house. Now, this will be triggered, as you see, here's transiting Uranus, which will, in the next few months, conjunct Pluto. We have transiting Saturn, which is currently squaring up to Saturn and Pluto, so it's activating that opposition, which, as you can see, is also in square to Mercury, which is in the 10th house there in Leo. So the whole Saturn-Uranus square is triggering this natal fixed square, including a planet in the 10th house of leadership. I think that the months when this is really active, let's just have a look here, months to look out for, and I'm going to be talking about this when I talk about Russia, because I'm also going to give you Russia's chart. Months where this is particularly active is, well, right now Saturn is particularly active, but September and August, this is also going to be. So watch for more action, reverberations, this kind of earthquake happening in Canada in August, September as well, which is the summer. It's more conducive, isn't it? But with Saturn being triggered there, I see that as also indicating possibly supply chain problems, which could be caused by the truckers. That's their leverage, isn't it? I also see that the Saturn square Saturn is indicating that the whole World Economic Forum plan, which really got going in Canada 7 years ago, is hitting a major obstacle right now. So things in this chart are giving me hope. Remember, Saturn square Saturn, we have Saturn here on the descendant, and Uranus is also triggering that point. So again, the people, there's the stirring, these discontent, the anger, the frustration people are feeling. It's all bubbling. It can no longer be contained. Uranus activating Pluto gives me a lot of hope for a transformation, a rebellion, an upheaval, massive changes. Uranus squaring Mercury says to me an awakening. People are beginning to free their thoughts, free the shackles of their mind. They're getting over this kind of mental cancer that is the whole COVID pandemic. This shows new information coming to light in the public domain as well, which I think is very, very important. So that's all great. Let's see, I just wanted to check because Pluto is activated. Pluto again rules the 2nd house, so expect lots of 2nd house activity. So that could be a financial crash, supply chain shortages, and that sort of, and resource infrastructure problems that strongly affect Canada as well, because of course they're going to try and take this down in some way, aren't they, by messing with the supply chain or messing with the money system or something like that. Also, Mercury rules Venus, which, yes, it's Mercury, rules Virgo, which rules the 12th house, which shows secret plotting. And of course, because Uranus as well, activating Mercury ruling the 11th, is very strong indications of like subversive plotting. Well, I mean, it's not subversive, it's just grassroots people wanting to restore democracy, right? Subversive plotting would be their idea. You know, they call us domestic people who are anti-vaxxers, you know, this word they fling about, they say they are domestic terrorists, as you know. But I don't want to use too many of those words, those trigger words on Taliban tube. Next here, this is Canada's chart again. This time I've got the solar arcs on the outside. And immediately, guys, take a load of this. Solar arc Pluto's on the ascendant. Wow, this is great. Why I like this too is because at the time of the Brexit vote, which, look, we can debate about how Brexit has actually been manipulated, whether we achieved what we wanted to. We can debate on how it all worked out and worked through and whether we're happy with that. But there's no doubt that Brexit itself was a massive demonstration of the public rising up against globalism. That's essentially what it was. It's like saying no, sovereignty, rule from home, borders, national identity. You know, there was all that theme going on, and therefore, if it's anything like the UK, Pluto on the ascendant means a great awakening of people to globalism and a wanting to take back power, take back control. So I see that as a positive and a good thing. But remember that natally, Pluto is opposite Saturn in quite a close opposition. And so look, we've got Saturn here on the descendant. So that means the enemies, possibly, of Canada are strengthening their resolve as well. but that lots of people are aligning with Canada. So it could mean new alliances. Now, there's also a big trucker thing starting in Brazil, I think. So maybe that means that they're going to inspire a whole lot of other countries and form new alliances, maybe with, like, say, Czech Republic, all these other countries that are going to be having trucker protests. So I thought that was quite significant. Also, for Canada, we have, back to the old-fashioned paperwork here, solar arc Moon is conjunct Venus. If you have a look here, there's Moon. Solar arc Moon is conjunct Venus. Venus is the chart ruler. Moon is in the fourth house, the house of the people. So it could mean a country trying to restore natural identity, national identity, the rising up of the people, that whole symbolism of Moon in the fourth, Moon triggering Venus, the identity of the country, the structural or the integrity of the country in terms of borders. So I think that's quite a positive thing. As you note, Venus rules Taurus, also ruling the 8th, so again a sign of upheaval, because there is going to be quite a struggle to wrestle back control from the powers that should not be. And we also have solar arc Mars conjunct Mercury. Let's see where that is. Oh, I think this is actually a square, guys. Oh, it's an opposition. There we go. There's solar arc Mars in Aquarius. It's opposite Mercury in the 10th. Mars indicates a threat, particularly because it's natally on the north node, so the south node is conjunct Mercury. I think that's going to be a narrative collapse by the leadership. I see this as a huge threat and danger to the leadership of Canada, which can only be good because they need to be ousted. So I think things are going to go totally haywire with their communications. Narrative crash. I don't think they're going to be able to spin this trucker thing as they want to. I think the resistance is getting too big, and I definitely see this activation of Mercury, meaning too much information is getting out. So I'm really happy with that reading. I looked at the April ingress for Canada. That wasn't particularly exciting, right? So I didn't include it here. I may revisit it and whatever. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. By the way, please join me on Getter at Lisa Lazuli. I'm over on BitChute. I'll put the links under most of my videos. I can't monetize any of these because you can't if you're talking about anything to do with, obviously, the C word, and also protests, wars, and like I'm kind of predicting rather radical things in the main on time. You can't monetize that. So if you can support me by buying any of my books, I've got the astrology books. If you just put in Lisa Lazuli, there are loads of them. I've got 2 full books on Taurus and Gemini. That's like a total character thing. That's not predictions. I've got predictions for all the signs for this year. You can either buy the compilation volume, which is Kindle only, because it would make too thick a book, or you can buy lots of the little books or the little Kindles for each individual sign. I've also got my thriller, Next of Sin, my other thriller, A Sealed Fate, and there's another thriller as well called Not Innocent, Not Guilty, which I wrote with a friend, so that's under the name of Jax Logan. I'll put the links there. Look, I'm sure you'll enjoy my thrillers. If you're in the UK, you kind of generally like things like Silent Witness and maybe Vera, not like that really. It's not a detective thing, but if you generally enjoy those sort of things, or like McMafia, that kind of thing, then you will definitely like my books. They're contemporary, modern, fast moving, but of course not as extreme as what's happening now, but it's a bit of escape because at least COVID doesn't get mentioned. So there's all ways you can support me, or of course on Patreon, but I feel that by buying my books you might cost you a thing if you're on Kindle Unlimited, and at least you're getting something back as well. So I want to do one on Russia, but I may not start that tonight, although I hope to. So let's see if I get the one with Russia done.